Hello there, podcasters. We know it's been a little bit since we did a show. It's been a couple days. Things were pretty frantic, and we wanted to let you know what's going on so you're not worried about us and you have the up-to-date details of our exciting lives.
Have they introduced me yet?
Oh,
They haven't.
who's here with me today? Introduce yourself, sir, in case I pronounce it wrong.
Yes, I suppose my publicist should have been doing this, but I'll just go ahead and step in. I'm Sean Connery. I'm just here to do the show for today. Professor Will is a good friend of mine. He asked me to sort of fill in, and I'm just here to shoot the breeze.
Now, I'll say this much. First of all, it's an honor to be talking with you, Mr. Connery. Second of all,
Naturally.
I for some reason I misread an email and I thought Daniel Craig was going to be doing the show, and so I rewatched The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I rewatched Knives Out. I actually have a bunch of Knives Out hats that I was going to show him that I bought because I thought he might be impressed with the merchandising. But it's cool to talk to you as well. So how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. I was not really expecting to do the show necessarily, so I'm actually in Barbudo, and lucky me, I'm here during monsoon season. So if you hear any sort of thunderstorm in the background, that's probably what it is.
Now, I would ordinarily say a rule of podcasting is you don't want to podcast during any major weather events unless it is some kind of storm chasing Weather
Did you put the
Channel
shutters
show.
on the back window for the kitchen?
This is exactly why, because it provides not only noise but a lot of pressing danger, distractions all around you. But in the case of talking to a celebrity, I guess it's okay because the thing with celebrities and the thing with politicians, certainly the thing with presidents, is the norms, the rules, the laws, they just don't matter. So it's I'll talk to you during any kind of tornado, hurricane, monsoon, you name it, Sean.
Well, I do appreciate that, and I must say things are sort of intensifying here in Barbudo. They were sort of battening down the hatches. From what I understand, it's perhaps more than just a regular monsoon. It might even be a typhoon or a hurricane of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a biblical flood.
It could be. So, do me a favor. Tell me why the hell I'm on the show and what I'm here to do. I'm not sure what the dynamic is here. I was just asked to do this by my publicist. I owe Professor Will one favor from something 20 years ago, and he calls it in today, and he says, "Can you do this podcast for 20 minutes?" And I said, "Sure."
This was the favor. Of all the things that he could have had you do, he had you on this show.
Especially when you consider the favor he did for me. It's really...
What did he do for you?
I don't want to say.
I want to hear it though. I mean, I think if this is going to turn into some kind of celebrity interview here, this is the juiciest bit that I'm guessing probably hasn't come up in any of your other Gossip Mag interviews.
Yes, I'm notoriously famous for doing so many Gossip magazine portfolios. The thing is, I don't really care necessarily. I'm just trying to sort of get this over with so I can, hopefully throw a few steaks on the grill just before the hurricane hits. So I have something in the fridge.
So it's not raining there yet.
Yes, my priorities are very, me-centric. So I'm not really sure what we're doing in the show, but I'll just tell you what I'm doing here.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right. So from what I understand, you folks do a show about sort of the expertise of podcasting. Is that right?
That is right. Although we've run into some difficult times, and we were
How so?
Well, our university closed. Our sponsors all dropped us, and this slob of an intern who, I wouldn't ask him to put butter on my toast in the morning. Now he basically owns the show, and he started a successful podcast network. And, we add to that a lot of personal tragedy, divorces, bankruptcies, book deals gone awry. And it's been a pretty rough couple of months for the podcast professor community. I'll say that much.
Yes, I can imagine. The same vitriol with which you sort of talk about your former intern, that's how I feel about Daniel Craig.
Oh, really?
I could still be Bond. There's no age limit on Bond, so to speak. But they want the young guy, they want the fit guy, they want the guy who wears the Fitbit. They want the guy with the six pack, and things have changed since just having a hairy, burly chest got you a leading man role. You gotta be in a shape that's not even a natural human shape these days to play Bond.
I'll say this though,
it's a freaky shape, and I don't say that to disparage Daniel Craig. He's not a freak by any means, although he might be. But he's
still there, Sean. Sean, did we lose you?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My housekeeper was trying to put that down, Gertrude. Sorry about that.
Honestly, it's like having Will on the show. There's really no discernible difference. It's he's about as distracted, although he's never been in the middle of a biblical flood.
Yes, well, Will, I'll say this. I don't know. I mean, our friendship is basically over after I return this favor. So, as far as I'm concerned, we'll just burn this bridge, Tom.
Sounds good to me. I got no loyalty to that.
Will actually. Sure, yeah. Will actually, not the greatest human being. The favor that I had to do for him was not exactly something I wanted to do or something that should have been done. But Will was in a bind and he sort of needed some help. So I stepped in and
give me a little bit more. Where were you? What country were you in?
All right. Well, we were in the former Republic of Yugoslavia. And I'll tell you, those Slavs, they love a good hupkis, and they also love a good strukli, right? So Will goes into some sort of bakery, orders a nice strukli, sits down, and then they bring it to him. He burns his mouth. Long story short, he's trashed an entire Croatian restaurant. He's beat the waiter senseless, and I had to sort of swing in and essentially just sort of sign a few autographs, take a picture with the restaurant owner so that Will didn't end up in jail. And, I wasn't even that close, really. I was over in Edinburgh, so that was probably an 8 to 12 hour flight there. Not really super cool of him. But yeah, that was the favor I had to do. And, I'm not even sure if we're legally able to say this, but, he's not allowed back in that country.
So, and his way of, this is ridiculous to me that Will can't even be bothered to be on the show today. He's got you on here reluctantly. You're in the middle of a monsoon. What's Will doing?
That's a great question. It just started to rain, Tom, so I might be stepping inside.
Okay.
Just bear with me for a moment here.
Okay. Once again, it's very much like talking to Will. Would you be interested in a permanent position as a podcast professor here, Mr. Connery? Sir Connery or Mr. Connery?
I believe Sir is actually in order.
Sir Connery, would you regale me?
Michael Caine, everybody just calls him Sir Michael just by default. And then all of a sudden I'm Sean. I don't know if it's because I'm Scottish and he's a big bloody Englishman, but
well, he's a jovial man. I've exchanged favors with him many times, and no one's ever gotten in fights. He's a nice, affable fellow, whereas you're a little bit more intimidating. So, I mean, like, Sir, you generally think of a nice, old, cuddly guy, which Sir Michael certainly fits into. Whereas you have this element. I feel like I might be in trouble every time you say something to me.
Tom, you might be after you say something like that. Are you trying to insinuate that I'm not a nice, likable person and that Michael Caine is just some sort of messiah?
I wouldn't go so far as to say messiah, but if I had to pick my own, if the messiah were to come, I would rather it be Sir Michael, purely because you reading the gospel might have some hostility in it, and it might sound more passive-aggressive rather than genuine. I don't know if you've ever played Jesus in a movie, but I imagine it's a little bit frightening.
Well, I was actually in a play where I was the Christ. Sorry about the echo. I'm indoors now.
It's okay.
I'm in my narthex, just sort of sitting here with a cigar in my mouth. Anyways, I was playing the Christ in a Passion play.
How'd it go?
Actually, Mel Gibson directed it, and
Oh, so this was
I can't say that. This was a different time, Tom. This was about 20 years ago.
so this was like a dry run for the Passion of the Christ, and he didn't. He replaced you with a younger, fitter Jim Caviezel.
Yes, he replaced me, the old Christ. He called me the ancient Christ, and I wasn't really happy about that. He told me, "Oh, you'll have a great part in the movie, Sean. You'll be some sort of star. This will invigorate your career." I was like, "I don't need an invigoration from you, Mel." But nonetheless, he basically lied to me and stabbed me in the back, and that was the last time I played the Christ.
Wait, hold on a second. Did he literally stab you in the back?
Well, no, I mean
okay.
he
with
just
Mel, with Mel, you never know what's a metaphorical stab and what's a real knife going into the flesh of a knight.
Yeah, no, I just I do know, and I'm very happy about the fact that I wasn't actually cast as the Christ due to the mishaps that they had on set. The sort of issues. I believe Jim Caviezel or Caviezel or Weasel or however the hell you say his name, Jim Weasel, was struck by lightning while he was on the cross. I don't know if that's a sign from God. Not a religious man, but
what do you suppose? What do you suppose the sign from God would be there? Is it stop making this movie, perhaps?
Well, it's obviously some sort of blaspheme.
Yeah.
Mel didn't really paint everybody in the greatest light, so to speak.
So do you think on set you have this crazy event like Jim Caviezel getting struck by lightning, and everybody sees this as a sign? I mean, that is like the classic stereotypical sort of manifestation of punishment from on high. And then you have Mel Gibson saying, no, everybody, it's just a freak accident. Doesn't mean anything. God is happy with what we're doing. We're going to keep rolling.
That was the thing. He would just sort of blow that one or sort of sweep that one under the rug. Meanwhile, we would see, I don't know, very small things happen on set. We would be shooting and a small squirrel would sort of show up in the middle of the frame. And Mel would say, "Oh, would you look at that sign from God?" I would say, "Mel, I'm not really sure how it's a sign from God, but I I don't want to rain on your enthusiasm." So anyways, yeah, it was sort of confusing because a typical sign from God like that, being struck by lightning is more significant than perhaps a squirrel. But try explaining that to Mel Gibson, Tom.
I heard there were other stories as well, like a voice from the heavens said, "Stop making this film." I heard that various apparitions and ghosts appeared on set, warning Mel that a reckoning was coming for him. And
the funny thing was, Mel actually put on a yarmulke at some point. The fibers reacted poorly with his scalp, so he had some sort of infection. So it almost looked like he was wearing a yarmulke for the entire shoot, which was quite hilarious because Mel is not really Jewish. So yeah, essentially he was just sort of walking around with this sort of yarmulke burn on the back of his head. It was very strange, but signs from God sort of appear in strange places, Tom. And if you read into it a little too much, as I believe Mel perhaps was doing, you can sort of see signs from God everywhere. I had an eyelash fall out this morning when I was washing my face. Sign from God, right there. Boom.
So, do you remember though any of the lines from your Jesus play? Because I am curious, what does the voice of God sound like, filtered through the Scottish accent of Sir Sean Connery?
Well, that's a great question, Tom. I would say, the Scottish accent is not particularly, it's not particularly musical. It has its own quirks, its own benefits. It's not quite as smooth as, perhaps, I don't know, Michael Caine or some sort of French version.
Sure. That's for sure. That's for sure, Sean.
Yes, I know. That's why I said that. But putting Michael aside yet again,
Sir Michael. That is. Just to clarify for anybody listening.
As Sir Connery puts Sir Michael off to the side, uh, sort of topic-wise for another moment here, to sort of stuffs him back in the closet, if you will. I say that my lines were pretty short, but there was one sort of soliloquy or monologue where, sort of my Hamlet moment, my to be or not to be, as the Scottish Christ, which again, I was never struck by lightning while I was on the cross. But while I said this line, I was on the cross, sort of screaming, in pain and agony, saying, "My God, my God." But my favorite line was, "I am the Christ." I said
what was the
scream that
context?
into the heaven.
Sort of just like you sort of walk into a scene and just announce your presence as the Christ, as the Scottish Christ.
Well, Scottish or English or otherwise, I would say that, just announcing yourself, very natural thing to do. I do it all the time at parties, not even necessary, but I still bring it up. "Oh, hi, I'm Sean Connery." People, "Oh, I know." Yes, well, I was just being polite. After all, I have been knighted by the Queen, which I'll remind you, that's not just exclusive to Michael Caine.
Now, though, I mean, is there some contentious sort of feelings about being knighted by the Queen, because the Scottish and the English don't always get along that well? So, I mean, does it mean that much to you, or is it sort of a submission to British rule to accept a knighthood?
I wanted to refuse. I really did. I wanted to just say no and throw it in the Queen's face. But we're trying to get along. This is a modern world, and if Christ, if the Scottish and if the Irish and the English can get along, then the Scottish and the English can surely at least pretend to get along. So I think that there is some part of me that wanted to just throw that knighting ceremony in the Queen's face, or even go to the ceremony and punk the Queen maybe in some sort of like irreverent way. Good trouble, as I say.
What would you have done? What would have your the punking? What does the punking of the Queen by Sir Sean Connery look like?
Yes. So, for example, one idea I had, and it's a sort of a rough draft, but when she would knight me, the Queen would pull out her sword and sort of do the whole dog and pony show and the whole tapping of the shoulder and whatnot. I would stand up in the middle of that and start singing the Scottish national anthem, and I thought that would be quite a bold move. Of course, I was told that if I do not sort of behave normally, and if the Secret Service sort of sees my body movements as threatening, that they do have the authorization to sort of take me out with even lethal force if needed. I'm just Sean Connery. I'm a celebrity, but I'm not, royalty.
Yeah, and you're not even a member. You're not even 007 anymore. They've had several others. So I mean, they could replace you as a knighted James Bond if they needed to.
Well, the thing is, Tom, if Daniel Craig ever gets knighted, I swear to God, that's the year I'm going to kick the bucket, just out of spite. I mean, the guy has stolen so many roles. I could have been Bond at least 4 other times. I don't understand. We bring back everything. We do reboots of all these old movies. Why do we have a new, fresh face when you have an established franchise with a massive star like me? I don't understand it, and frankly, I think our time is running up here. So it's been a pleasure. And
one parting thought. I agree with you completely that it makes no sense. Everybody who's ever played any role 40 years ago is basically playing that role again this year or next year or in 2 years. Harrison Ford is planning on making one more Indiana Jones movie literally as he turns 80. So, I mean, when I think back on cinema and some of the greats, what sticks out to me is a great older action sort of heist movie, The Italian Job. What a great movie and what a great performance by Sir Michael Caine in that one. Where are the action roles for Michael Caine? In fact, why not do a movie where maybe Timothy Dalton and James Bond, as James Bond comes back, and he is replaced by Michael Caine in this new James Bond timeline where we bring back the old and we replace them with the exciting new.
I can just get some, pop the cork. We'll have a happy. Sorry, what was that? I'm sorry. Yes, to what you said, I agree full-heartedly. Yes.
All right.
A resounding yes.
Well, it was great talking to you, Sean Connery. I feel like I learned a lot. I think our listeners...
I mean, I'm not going to open a bottle of champagne.
Even though this had nothing to do with podcasting, I hope it was useful for you as sort of a model of how to do an interview and to really get into the deep, deep layers of a celebrity who does not like to open up. And so, Sean, I would like to once again extend one last invitation to you. If you want to replace Will permanently on Podcast Professors, you won't hear any complaints from me.
Well, that's an extremely generous offer, and one that I will consider and get back to you in the future. I can't really comment because I don't have my agent here with me, but
you can text me. Just go ahead and text me. I'll Snapchat you.
Oh, you do text, huh? That seems a bit unprofessional. How about email? I like email.
Email me whenever you want, Sean. I'll start emailing you some important headlines and some jokes and some memes. I'll add you to the rotation of all the people who love my email chains. Don't even doubt it. All right. They're very popular. They're very well received. And I think you'll get a kick out of them.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you start emailing me, I'll just keep forwarding you all these coronavirus info updates that I get from people. And let me tell you, I didn't know drinking water with lemon would be so beneficial. It's incredible. So
I hear it kills the virus, right?
Yes, it definitely kills the virus.
At
least I hope. That's why I bought 1,600 crates of lemons, just so I could, chase off the virus.
I hope you're freezing some of those because that's a lot of lemons to go through in a short amount of time.
I've been trying to infuse lemon into basically everything. Lemon pasta, lemon water, lemon bread.
To be honest, I'm shocked you drink any water at all. I would have thought you're a pure Scotch man.
Sir, well, those days are far behind me. Okay. If I, Sean Connery was a good Scotsman and just drank like a good Scotsman instead of the dignified, knighted gentleman that he is, he'd be dead at 50 or perhaps even before. But let me just say, Tom, I don't know what they do these days. And, I'm an older man. I'm not quite there with the times, mentally, I'm all there, let me assure you. But, having my finger on the pulse, I don't really understand everything. But let me just say, personally, I feel, how do they get email to be so addictive? It's people tell me Facebook's so addictive, engineered to just be, like crack for your brain. And I say, oh, well, have you tried email? I mean, I use Google myself and
Gmail.
I just find myself constantly scrolling through hilarious threads that get forwarded to me. I have a friend in Malaysia. I have a friend in Nigeria. It's just a very interesting dynamic. And, I'm just so happy we can connect.
Are these a lot of,
when I was young.
Is this a lot of royalty from these other countries? Like,
I mean, there may be a prince or a duke,
here and there.
But,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just sort of normal. I'm a socialite and an A-lister.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're certainly reaching out to you because of your renowned reputation and known wealth. I'm sure it's not a random sort of message or plea for money that they just send out to 100,000 people, at random.
Let me tell you this, Tom. I used to think that, but this one time I got an email, and it said, "Hey, there's a great deal on a Dubai, sort of condo." I said, "Oh, I'd love a condo in Dubai. Weather's lovely. I love the taste of desalinated water. It's just delicious." So I was like, "Oh, sure, sign me up." So me and my agent, we mailed maybe about $650,000 US. We are told the condo is beautiful. I still have yet to get there. I'm sort of trapped in Barbudo for hurricane season, but it'll be interesting. I'm very happy to see what should happen there. And again, email. I don't know how they do it. They just make it so. Can I curse on the show?
You're Sean Connery. You do whatever you want.
All right. Well, they make it just so damn addictive, Tom. I don't know how they do it.
Well, I will certainly be sending you an email, and I'll certainly be trying to cut Will off from further communications in favor of getting you back on the show. But I just want to thank you again, Sean. It was a great honor for me to talk to someone I like almost as much as Sir Michael Caine.
Well, I'll just pretend I didn't hear that last part. But this has been sort of almost enjoyable, even. And I'm very surprised by that. I was expecting this to be a real headache. So, yeah, if you do need any help, I'm not a podcast man, but I'm an entertainment man. I know how to keep people drooling at the mouth, just wanting more. My name used to pull in almost millions of dollars back in the day. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm a person who's able to get you to talk, get you to have fun, and I hope that this was beneficial for our listeners to learn how to effectively interview a crotchety old angry Scotsman. So thank you again, Sean, and that's all the time we have. Not to interject, I know you're trying to wrap it up here, but maybe if we could just have another take of that, you could say perhaps how to interview an A-list movie celebrity. One day I hope to be able to, Sean. That'll be great. I agree. Well, maybe in the next show you're on, we'll be able to find one and we can interview him together, or her together.
Let me tell you this, Tom. If it's Michael Caine, I swear to God, I'll never talk to you again.
I don't know who it will be. We'll email about it. All right, we'll figure it out off the air.
Yeah, sure. Sounds great.
All right, I'm emailing you right now, Sean. All right.
All right, I don't see it. I don't know. Maybe I'll check my spam folder. Gosh, they just make these things so fun, Spam. Let me check it out.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's it for Podcast Professors. We'll be back, hopefully, with Sean Connery without Will at some future date. We are also, I have to say one last thing. We are now produced through the Podcast Empire that Paul runs, and I can't remember the name. What is it called? Buckaroo Podzai. Buckaroo Podzai, everybody. Yeah, that's right. So subscribe to all the Buckaroo Podzai shows and whatever they are. I don't really listen to them, but that's it. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.